What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today's going to be a special video because this is the first snake video. I've done a lot of herping along this road that we're at today, and it's one of my favorite snake spots here in Garrett County. And that's because it has a lot of rocks along the sides that gather a lot of heat during the day and just makes great cover for the snakes. And today has been beautiful with a high of about 60 degrees with no cloud coverage, which means that we should have some luck today. And we already have, because that first rock that we flipped, we had luck with this gorgeous little Northern Ringneck snake, Diodophis punctatus, and hopefully it is the first of many. So we're just going to continue down this road here and see what we can find, get some cool photographs. So I'm excited for you guys to tag along, and let's get into it. Northern Ringneck snakes are one of the most common species that we get here in Garrett and in the western part of Maryland. But I never get tired of seeing them, and they are very pretty. And you can see that namesake ring around the neck. And you can tell the northern subspecies apart from its counterparts because the northern ringneck snake has a complete band going around that neck, while the southern ringneck snake, for example, will have a broken ring not completely attached to each other. And easily identified by those bright orange underbellies. And like I said, that ring around the neck. But this is a particularly small one. I've seen bigger ones, but yeah, I'll maybe still get some photos of this guy since this is my first ringneck snake of the year. So while searching for a little spot to photograph this northern ringneck snake, I flipped this little eastern redback under this little log, Plethodon cinereus, and we're gonna let this guy go back under his log there. So one thing that I may make a separate video on in the future is how to pose snakes and salamanders and different subjects for macro photography. If a snake is being pretty rowdy or just constantly getting away, one thing that you can do, which this one is not, this one's being very good for me, but if it is constantly moving, one method that you can do is what I call the cup method, which is where you take your hand, and if it's a larger species you can use both hands, but what you want to do is just gently cover the snake up completely like this to kind of simulate it being under some cover. And you want to just do this for a few seconds to a minute and let them get their jitters out kind of, and then whenever you think you're ready, just slowly lift your hand back up, and that snake should sit pretty still for a little bit, enough time for you to get your photographs. And that's just one little tip. So I got him posed up here on this piece of bark. We're getting some pretty cool shots out of it. But this one is being very well behaved, and I got some cool photos that you guys should be seeing on the screen. And let's go find some more snakes. So this is the rock that we found this northern ringneck snake under, and I wanted to show you guys real quick what to do whenever you do find a snake. And this goes for salamanders as well. When you put them back under the rock you found them, you want to go ahead and just let the snake go with the rock down like this, instead of putting it under cover and then putting the rock back on top. You don't want to risk injuring the snake or the salamander by crushing it. So what you do instead is just, with the rock already down, just go ahead and let that snake go back under, just like that. I'm gonna check these rocks real quick. This is a wonderful spot that you can find northern water snakes basking. I've seen a ton just on this log here, and they love to hang out just along these rocks right here. Lots of ants. Ooh. There we go. This is a Decay's brown snake, Stereria decayi. Another very common species, but again, first of the year. And I think I'll get some photos of this guy. It's actually a pretty one. It just came out of shed, it looks like. So cool, and he mussed on me a little bit there. So why on earth did they call it the Decay's brown snake? Well, I think brown snake is pretty obvious because these snakes are always usually light to dark brown with a lighter colored mid-dorsal stripe and a creamy colored venter, and you can see those black spots running all the way down, and that's another distinctive feature. And Decay, I believe, was a naturalist that it was named after. So yeah, pretty cool little snakes. I think they get to about 20 inches long, so this is a pretty average sized one. So I like the texture of moss on this rock. and we're gonna try and get a top-down shot, but this guy's a little more rowdy than that ringneck, so we're going to implement the cup method. The camera just fell. So we're just gonna gently cover the snake up like this, let it get its jitters out, and I can feel it moving around. And we're gonna wait until he stops, and then slowly lift, and there you go. So we're gonna see if we can get some top-down shots. I'm gonna let him go back under his rock. Perfect. Well, that snake was an absolute pleasure to photograph. I got some cool shots there with his tongue out. It's awesome. Also got a couple of my signature shot top downs and just some cool field guide style poses. Oh, a big snake there. There we go. This is a northern water snake, Nerodia, and one that is not happy. Northern water snakes are not the friendliest species, as you can see, but he'll calm down. And nice, dude. He's got a beautiful underbelly, but yeah, awesome. There, he got me. Tried to. Here's some better looks at that northern water snake we just flipped back there. Nerodia. So these are semi-aquatic snakes that you can often find basking along streams, rivers, and ponds. And you can see them in the water sometimes. They're excellent swimmers. And towards the front half of the body, you will notice crossband patterns. And towards the back, it turns into more blotchy stuff. And you can see those crossbands there on the side. This one's pretty nice looking. The older individuals will become darker uniformly, and the younger ones tend to be a little bit more patterned. But I've seen ones get pretty large. This is a pretty small one, but I'm gonna get some photos. Nothing crazy, but maybe some headshots. Unfortunately, the northern water snake gets a pretty bad rep, and a lot of them are killed just because a lot of people think that it's a venomous species just because they have a pattern. But yeah, pretty cool snakes. Once he's realized that I'm not a predator or a threat of any kind, he's just chilling. Well, it is getting warm now, so I had to shred the jacket and just get down to my t-shirt, but I just got some awesome shots of that northern water snake that I just showed you guys. I brought it down to this little creek over here to pose it by a rock, and it actually kind of went in the water and positioned itself in a way where it was holding its head up, and it started like gaping its mouth and holding it open real wide. And I got some really interesting pictures of it in the water with its mouth open. So I'll show you guys that now. Here's another very tiny northern ringneck that I just flipped under that rock there. Teeny tiny little guy, and he's crazy. And one of my biggest fears in life is bees and wasps and yellow jackets and things like that. And that is one of the scariest things that I see whenever I flip rocks. We got our third northern ringneck of the day. This one's got a pretty nasty little gash on its side right there. Not sure what from, but another snake for the list. Eastern garter snake, there's a new one. Well, here you go, species number 4 for the day, the eastern garter snake, Thamnophis sertalis, a very familiar face. I'm not going to bother photographing this guy just because I recently got a bunch of shots of a few individuals recently. There's a little DeKay's brown snake, another one. Very nice. And another northern ringneck snake to add to the day. And this one decided to musk all over me, which is wonderful. Ant Metropolis there. Another punctatus. No thank you. Love it. Another one. I don't know how many we're up to, but I'll put it up on the screen of the northern ringneck count. Well, I would say that went pretty well. we got on some pretty good diversity for the time we were here, and we got some awesome photos. At the end of this video, I'm going to put up some photos that I didn't put up already for you guys to look at, so stay tuned for that. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was my first snake video that I filmed on the YouTube channel, and that's because I started posting more regularly when spring was starting, or before spring, so it was more amphibian focused. But as the weather begins to heat up, more and more snakes are going to come out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.